What is up, people? Yeah. All right, let's see. All righty. We're going to be working on our Guan Yu. That's this fun guy right here. If you're in chat, make sure and drop me a line, tell me hi. We're going to be figuring out exactly how we want to finish this guy here. I'm not in love with the green, but we're going to roll with it right now until we figure out the rest of the colors, and then we'll probably tweak it a little differently. But for right now, we're just going to go with this green. I think I know what I want to do with it, but I want to get the rest of the colors kind of down first, and then see the direction that I want to take it. So this is kind of our reference image here that we're looking at. That one right there. Let's take a closer look. See kind of, we got lots of greens, some reds, and then browns and golds. So what we're going to go ahead and do is get most of the browns and golds out and kind of figure out how we want to do that. So let me make sure we're... there we go. Try to keep him roughly in focus here. Alrighty. You know what? I wonder if I can push this whole thing up. Just a second, guys. We're going to see if I can make an adjustment here to this whole shebang here. See if I can't get a little better thing here as far as this goes. I think this will be easier for me to paint, and more of it should stay in focus. Yeah, I'm good with that. Let's see. I think we need a little bit this way is about the only thing. Still getting used to this new setup here. It gives me a lot more flexibility and a lot more stability too on things here. Yeah, alright, that should do. I think I'm good with this. Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and get some... what should we do? The browns first? Yeah. There's gonna be a lot of browns here. I think we're just gonna focus on doing a lot of the trim in gold here. We're not gonna do the edge of his cape in gold because it's really hard to do this kind of a cape with the edge in gold. It just comes off looking kind of strange if you don't do it really, really well. And I guess his armor here, what do we think? I don't think his armor was gold, right? No, that's definitely steel. So we'll do that. And then, yeah, we'll kind of figure out where we're going to go. All right. So let's get some browns, some leathery kind of colors here. We're going to throw some of the Reaper triads make leather a lot easier, so we're probably going to use some of them for time and ease sake. So we're going to throw some of these out. I like the khaki triad. Yeah, I like the khaki triad a lot. So we'll go ahead and throw this out. Khaki is one color that is definitely missing from Pro Acryl. I've already talked to Jason about that, and he's like, yeah, khaki is the next color we're putting out. So we're going to focus on, I don't want this. We've already got too much of this red brown. We need more just neutral brown. This will work. And this and this. All right, so we're going to try to live in these kind of ranges here. We've got, hey, thank you so much for the raid. Much appreciated for Ella V. Thank you so much. We're just in here working on this great figure. What is up? You just caught me starting. So anybody who's on, we're actually hoping to finish this guy on camera. So we will see. I'm probably going to be here a while. This is for a great Kickstarter that's starting tomorrow, so it really kind of needs to be done today, right? But you only get things when you get them. Like, unfortunately, too often, doing Kickstarters, I don't get them until like right before they're supposed to start, which is frustrating, right? So, but yeah, so we're hoping to make lots of progress on this guy today. So, all right, I appreciate it. Have a good dinner. Much appreciated. Thanks for the raid. All right, let's get some colors down on the different kind of browns we're going to be doing. Let's do the edge of his cloak in khaki. That'll be a really good because it's kind of a greenish brown anyways. I'm going to run these through the paint mixer. Thanks so much for the follow. I greatly appreciate it. We're going to use the Reaper triads, I think, for the khaki because they're just so easy. Thanks so much. So we are just going to knock this crap out here. Like I said, I think we're going to do the edge of the cloak and the shadow. It'll help to really offset it as well because it's a very light color. It's not a dark color at all. And right now we have a lot of darks, but it has a lot of green in it, which will go really nicely with the clothes themselves. So we're going to go ahead and just knock that out, hopefully. You know what? I think I got enough space over here to move this on camera. Alright, we're going to be working with this khaki. Thanks so much for following. Much appreciated. This is just khaki shadow. This is Reaper khaki shadow. We're just going to focus on getting this thing right here. This is just the trim on his cloak. While part of me is like really fighting wanting to do it gold, because I think gold trim would look awesome. Like, the problem is, like, I think it would take a lot longer than I have left to do this figure to do gold trim at this scale justice. So the problem is this is a large figure, and I largely used a large figure for this because it makes most things easier. Metals is about the one thing that I think it makes harder. Right? So but I sacrificed everything else to be a little easier so that on camera, yeah. So we're just base coating this guy. We are link friendly, so if you're painting something and you want to show it off, feel free to drop a link as long as it's, not against, Twitch terms of service or just crass for the sake of being crass, As long as it's mini painting, feel free to drop a link. Oh, I gotta sneeze. Hold on. Ooh, thanks. Thank heavens for a mute button, right? Oh, I'm gonna have to. My apologies there. Alright, so we're just doing this khaki thing here. We want to do this in realistically as few coats as possible, right? I also did this guy in a larger size because he's such a cool figure. I really wanted him to be kind of a showpiece, like in my display case. Like he's one of those figures where I wanted somebody looking through the display case to be like, ooh. I remember to stay up just a little bit, don't I? Let's adjust this just slightly back, and then I won't have to do that. Alright, there we go. Just trying to constantly learn about the new camera setup and how things work the best on it. So we've just about got our coat of khaki shadow down. So we're just going to step it up and add some normal khaki. We're going to mix a little bit in. And I think what we're going to do is break out some of the non-traditional brushes here to make this go a little easier. Because I think I've got enough room for it. So we're going to break out a rosemary smush brush. And we're just going to dab, focus on like that. Then that's going to allow us to get those more natural looking textures and highlights. Right now we're going to be covering most of it because this cape is relatively flat as far as what would show shadows and highlights. So there's not going to be a huge dramatic shift. Oh, you know what I missed? I missed up by his neck. Hey, what's up, Slothosaurus? In Jen. What kind of brushes? So for your normal like pointed round brushes, I really like these are Raphael 8404s, right? So if we're just talking about that kind of a brush, I really like the Raphael 8404s. They just work well for the way that I paint. They're not going to work well for everybody, but they work well for the way. A little bit of paint there, didn't I? There we go. They really work well for the way that I paint. Your best price to get the Raphael 8404s is Jackson Art online, and the best price for them is actually on their UK site. But here's the deal: they offer free shipping if your order only contains brushes, then they offer free shipping. So what I do is about the only thing I buy from there is brushes, and I end up with a good price on these brushes. Once upon a time, I was getting them easily in the were probably $9 range. Now they're a little bit more these days. I'm just kind of stippling in some straight Terran khaki. Now they're in the $12 to $13 range, which is still way cheaper than most places for this brush and way cheaper than most Winsor Newtons. This brush is a Rosemary Co. Smush brush. It's like a fancy makeup brush, basically. I like it just a little better than the just the normal elf makeup brushes. Elf makeup brushes work. I just have a little bit more control with this. I find that it lasts a little longer for me overall. Just highlighting this. Just highlighting it and adding some texture at the same time, which is great. Because this is all supposed to be cloth anyways, right? So you get a little on your green, it's not the end of the world. And just touch up the green, because this is a huge time saver otherwise. So we're almost done with just our straight tear and khaki, and then we'll work on the what's the word I'm looking for? The highlights. Khaki highlight. Any Kolinsky hair. So we talk about this almost every time, though. I use the 8404s, the Raphael 8404s, because I paint relatively thick. I don't thin a whole lot. Compared to most mini painters who are like crazy about thinning, like thin. Like, what's the number one thing they tell new painters? Like, thin your paints. And I'm like, yeah. I think new painters should thin their paints, but probably not for the reason that most people are getting told. Like, I think the only reason that you should thin your paints when you're new is because you just don't know how your paint acts yet, because you're new. And that once you kind of have some semblance of control over your paint, then like use whatever thickness you want. Like it is not necessary to only paint with thin paints. It's just totally not necessary. Right, I'm just adding some texture here. Overall, that looks pretty good. I like that. So if you're a thick painter like I am, you want to use something like the what's the word? The Raphael 8404 there, because it'll keep a lot of moisture in the paint and keep it from drying out in the brush. But if you're a thin painter, then all that water is going to get held in the brush, and it's going to make it really hard to work with. So if you're a thin painter, you want something more like a Rosemary & Co. that has a much thinner body. So like this is a size 1 8404. This is a size 1 Rosemary & Co. So the Rosemary & Co. here is much, much, much thinner. It works better if you like really thick paint or really thin paint. If you're a thick painter, you want this guy. This guy. If you're a thin painter, you want this guy. So it just totally depends on what kind of a painter you are. We got to do this little belt. There's like a double. He's got like a cummerbund or something. I'm not sure what that is, because I think what we'll do is we'll do his cummerbund in a brown, then we might do his belt. I guess in a different brown. Yeah, that makes sense. And we got to do his back thing here, but we don't have to do hardly anything with his back thing, which is super nice because it's mostly almost all in shadow. Like you're just never gonna on this mini, you're never really gonna get a good look at it, which is great. So let's do his kind of cummerbund thing. We'll do this in the like a ruddy oiled leather kind of thing. Whoa, what just happened? My video cut out. That's weird. What the hell? That's so weird. Just a second. That was strange, guys. I don't know what was going on there. It happened when I did my vortex mixer, so we're gonna avoid the vortex mixer for the moment, since I have no idea why it did that. I wonder if it's on some sort of strange circuit breaker with the vortex mixer or something. So we're gonna use the ruddy leather one, right? This is not something that we really want to draw attention to, so we're not gonna overly highlight it. We're gonna go relatively simple. Did I put this brush over here? I did. Because we're just talking about he's got like this waistband. He's got a waistband here, right here, and he's got a belt. And we're just talking about the waistband, and then we're gonna have to do the belt a different color. The trick here is to make sure that we get everything. There's a lot of kind of somewhat ambiguous areas on this model where you're trying to tell like what's what, but we just want to make sure that we get everything here. Overall, it's a really good model though. We'll go ahead and do this back area the same color. It'll go well. And it kind of might be the same thing. It's hard to say. It just made my life harder. That's okay. Should be easier to see here in a moment. Okay, there's that. Then we're gonna have to figure out his saddle here in a moment too. Okay, and then we're gonna sort out all of his armor and all those various plates and stuff like that. We're just trying to get kind of his overall color scheme mapped out here. He's got a lot of green, so we gotta make sure that we don't make him look too Christmas tree with green and red, right? Like, yeah, we don't want that. Okay. I guess this trim kind of around this, we will do kind of an off thing there. We need to figure out his pants here real quick. And then his saddle. Let's kind of put a base coat down the saddle. We'll do some of this leather colors over here. This is like autumn colors kind of thing with Reaper. So if we do this in the right order, we can make it easy on ourselves. Where the only thing that we really have to be careful on is one or two pieces. That's the goal here, is to paint things in an order that makes it the easiest thing on us. I'll reiterate it again. If you're working on something, feel free to drop a link in the chat. We'd love to see what you're working on. A lot of good pieces in this Kickstarter. This is the same Kickstarter that the dragons that I did, that they were from. You know? A lot of really nice pieces in this Kickstarter. Super excited to see what other people do with it. That's always the fun kind of thing when you do pieces for a Kickstarter, is that you never know how everybody else is going to kind of take it. We need to figure out all these horses' straps. Let's go ahead and do them in this ruddy leather. It'll be just enough different from the actual horse flesh to work. And we can start knocking that out. At some point, we've got to do the horse's hair. Just slightly avoiding that because it's going to be enough work that I don't like it. So we're gonna do these in just kind of ruddy leather color. It highlights up to a nice nice orange color, which I think will work well here. Like he's got some what's the word I'm looking for? Buckles and stuff under here, right? And I guess these over here too. Mm. And I guess his reins will be the same thing as well. Trying to just be cohesive here. I think I just got a little bit of paint where I didn't want it though. Did I catch it in time? I think so. For anybody who's watching, you'll notice I'm not really thinning these paints hardly at all. These are Reaper paints pretty much straight out of the bottle. I was talking to a painter earlier today, and she was kind of upset because she says everybody keeps telling me to thin my paints. I'm thinning my paints. You know, and she's been painting a few years from now. A few years. And I said, you know, I know your work. I really don't think your issue is thinning the paints. She's like, but that's what everybody keeps telling me. I'm like, that doesn't make it true. Like, half the time, people who are like, thin your paints, like, you look at their work and they kind of suck, right? Like, they're just repeating advice that is just often thrown out there without any regard for whether or not that's actually like what's needed, what's going on, kind of thing. Like, oftentimes has nothing to do with thinning paints. And you know what was going on with her was she was skipping too many steps trying to highlight, and so it was coming out a little bit chalky. When you highlight up a color and you go close to white, you need to take real small steps, otherwise it starts to look kind of chalky. That's what was happening was, you know, her highlights were starting to get a little chalky. It had nothing to do with the thinness of her paint. Mm, I do like painting for Kickstarters. It's been a lot of my business lately, as far as commissions go, because oftentimes you're getting to paint something that nobody else has done before, you know? Like it's kind of cool to know that like you're the first person ever to paint this thing. I guess studio jobs in general are like that, but I don't know, Kickstarters are fun. Because a lot of times, you know, how well the Kickstarter do is really a function of, you know, both the sculpts, and a lot of times if the paint jobs are super crappy on them, you know, that Kickstarter's not going to do real well. Just working on blocking in all these leathers. Alright, we're getting there. Alright, we probably want to go ahead and do the next step on his saddle. His saddle was this brown, so we'll just stipple in some of this. This is harvest brown. For a long time, this was my favorite brown. This is one of the only colors that I have ever actually like run out of and needed to rebuy. It's fairly rare for me to actually run out of a color. I'm almost out of a few of my pro curls though. There's a few colors I really like, and I tend to abuse/use. This is a big sheet of gray construction paper that I'm painting on. If you've never used it as a back, it's actually really fantastic to paint on because it kind of doubles as a paper towel. And then for gray, it looks awesome on camera because it's not like pitch black like black would be, and it's not like reflective like white. So gray is kind of like the ideal thing to paint on. I'm just working up, stippling in some texture and highlights on this saddle right here. The saddle is going to go super fast. I think what we're going to do is stipple in one or two more layers, and then we might put a little glaze over it to tie everything together, and we'll call it good. We just kind of have to decide the tone for the glaze and how much we're going to go. Now we're going to throw some of this kind of orange in here, and it's going to shift it enough different from some of the other things. Get a little bit more. Just stippling it in here. Saddle is not a super important part, but we do want it to have some texture, something. We're going to take something a little bit brighter now, mix it in. That was just some khaki mixed in with it. Yep. I'll zoom in just a little bit for you guys. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then we're just going to take and just making it look like a nice, well-worn saddle, right? It's a little close to our horse flesh on camera, but it's different enough that I think it'll work, especially once we get whatever the border around it, which I guess I don't know if it's going to be a steel or a gold. I haven't decided that yet. We're going to have to figure that out. Like, my brain keeps saying steel for some colors, and I keep having to remember, no, like, historically, there's a lot of gold on this. Alright, we're going to call that saddle probably done for the moment. Because we got the highlights and the texture that we want. And then when we do the next steps with it, we'll decide if we need to glaze it to shift the tones a little bit. We might let's throw just a little, I always change my mind when I'm done. We're just going to go just a little bit brighter. That'll help. There we go. Yep. Okay, and then just okay, there we go. All right. Get this brush good and dry for whatever we do next. Let's go ahead and do his cummerbund. Do the next steps on that, which is this oiled leather. I don't think we have this on the palette yet, do we? Is that this? No, we don't have this out yet. I'm not super happy with his face. I'm trying to figure out why. But right now we're in the let's keep moving, get things done, and then kind of decide where we want to spend time on. Because kind of under a time crunch, we're not going to be able to always do everything we want to do. This is the same kind of colors, but we'll probably shift it just a little bit that we're going to put on all these straps. Just giving him some colors here. I'm just going to throw some of this on his. We just stole another color and we're just going to work it in right there. Again, that's never going to be, this whole like cummerbelt waistband thing is never going to be something that people really pay attention to. We just have to make sure it doesn't stick out as it's poorly done. That's all we really got to do. Because we're going to try to draw the attention other places, right? So, oh, that's belt. Damn it. We're going to try to draw the attention to the weapon and the horse and other things. So we don't have to make this awesome. It just can't suck, right? I think the next step up is this burnt orange. Is that right? All right, we started off ruddy leather, oiled leather, burnt orange. Yep. Okay. If you're just joining us or you haven't seen anything, heard anything from me in a while, I'm the Spotted Painter. I paint minis. Huh. I generally these days do commissions for companies and occasionally for individuals. This is for Kickstarter, and called like Asian Adventures, right? Painting, I usually try to focus on techniques that emphasize speed and getting things done. That ended up awfully close to our horse color, but that's okay. Like, we're not using that color very much. So that's okay. Is this the color that we threw everywhere else? Yep, okay. Right, we need to do all these strappy straps, right? So we got to decide. We started off with kind of a mahogany color. I think what we're going to do is throw in like a leathery kind of color and work off the mahogany up to the leathery. This is Reaper something something leather. Leather brown. There we go. You don't get more leather than a color called leather brown, right? So we're just going to be mixing this oiled and the leather brown. And it's just going to desaturate it, but also start working up a highlight. And we're just going to use this brush because it's just going to add texture and highlight at the same time here on these straps. We do it right here. Is that going to be too close to our... I think that's going to... Dang it, I keep making things too close to this horse. I think we're going to end up being too close to the horse. Because our horse is all these brown colors, right? I think we're going to highlight up through the khaki range then. That's what we'll do. Because that should be different enough. That's kind of the risk you always run when you've got like a big giant neutral thing all over your mini is you can kind of limit other neutrals, because doing a reddish neutral really works. So what we'll probably do here is kind of stipple and highlight this thing all over, and then hit it with a glaze and tone it down some. So we'll keep a lot of the texture, but it won't be like in your face as much, which is what we want, right? We're using this brush because it's a lot easier to do this kind of thing with a not a pointed round. With a pointed round, you end up with a bunch of marks that all look exactly the same, and that's what we're not looking for. There we go. That a little bit. There we go. Highlight a little high up. I still needed to stay down there, didn't I? Need to do these. On some color, and it's also going to give us kind of that nice edge highlight that we want on this stuff, right? Leather straps always look better kind of with an edge highlight. Like they're catching that glisten on their leather. This figure was done by Ian Lovecraft. He does some great historical figures, even some monsters and stuff like that. I don't know, I got a little too even here. Add some more texture on this big old strap. Remember, texture is one thing we want. Looking for layers of texture a lot of time. It creates a nice smooth blend while simultaneously making it more interesting. Just have to kind of learn what you can get away with and what you can't. What's going to blend and what's going to look like an utter mess. The nice thing is it's always just paint. If it doesn't work, just do it. I think this is going to work though. I want to do one thing here real quick. I'm losing some of my ISO. Do this. There we go. Oh, no, too much. Come on. On to Papa. There we go. I'm good with that. All right. Um, we're gonna highlight up a little higher now on all this. Again, this isn't like a focal point, so we're not gonna do too much, especially because we are going to do some sort of a thin glaze over it. Tie it together, right? But it's going to be kind of thin. I don't want to lose a lot of this. So we'll probably do this that we've done so far. And then we'll do one kind of more extreme highlight that's much more selective. And then we'll hit it with some sort of a glaze or something to tie it all together here, right? That's the name of the game here. Going for cool, natural looking things. Using our Rosemary and Co. Smush Brush. Alright, I think we've got everything we needed to get there. I'm going to take one more extreme highlight. If you're going to glaze down afterward and you don't do any extreme highlights, it's going to look really boring, right? You need to make sure that you have enough contrast in order to glaze. It's probably the number one thing I see where somebody's like, and then I glazed it down to blend it, and they like lost all of their contrast. And it's like, yeah. Just adding in lots of texture here. And then we will figure out where exactly we're going to be, what exactly we're going to be doing as far as the glaze. Alright, I think we're at glaze point now. Great, that's awesome, man. Doing the beholder's eye with the pencils is just really easy. Like, it's so much easier than doing it with other things. It just really is. I'm going to take our pointed out round and just do a few edges on some of these, just so that when we glaze them, it just really pops. I think we're going to do a rather thin glaze because overall I like the way these are. I just needs a little bit of cohesive tie-up, right? Yeah, colored pencils are can be such a game changer when used right. There's still a lot of people that like think I'm smoking crack for that though. One person got on like the face or the YouTube video that I did about him and went on some big long rant about how that was ridiculous, and yeah, I don't know. I think I got that taken down though. Alright, we're gonna add a little few specific nicks and scratches and stuff like that. Those will get real nicely glazed when we go to. Things always look better with more character, right? It's probably a little, yeah, That was a little bit too thick on that. We're just gonna come over here. Just add a little scratch there. A little scratch there, there. There. Just adding character here. Alright, now we're going to glaze it over with something. I don't think we're going to do chestnut, which is what I would normally do. We're going to take this wood glaze, this wood ink, and I think we're going to do that. But we're going to thin it down pretty good. Because these are like super intense. This is scale 75 wood ink. Ink tints wood. And we're just going to get it really quite thin. Because it'll help tie everything together. It's got a little bit of green in it, which I want. So you can see, like that. We're just going to use that to kind of just tie some of this together here. It's not a dramatic thing, it's a subtle thing. We can always go over more layers if we want. Just doing this just to be cohesive here. Like I said, we can always do more layers if we think we need to. And this won't be the only place that we do similar techniques like this. You know, this is such a valuable technique where you paint something up a little higher contrast and then glaze over it. It just works so well. Okay. Alright, so now we've got things that look good. Alrighty. Just a second. Oh, you know what? Crap. We're gonna have to take a break from painting that. We gotta build our base real quick. I realized he needs to go on a base. I don't have a base built for him. We gotta build something quickly. So yes, that needs to happen. What happened to his base? I had a base sitting out for him. That's not good. It's like the only one I had left. Snap! Where'd it go? Did somebody come in and steal my base? Because I am all about the base. This is a problem. Okay, hold on. It was painted. Is it in my pocket? Did I put it in my pocket? Oh, there it is. Alright, good. Alright, so we're going to take this guy. Let's go ahead and mount him on something because he'll be easier to mess with. So we're just going to mount this base on a bottle cap. And then we're just going to do a real simple cork base for him. It's not the most inventive thing, but it'll work well for this figure. This is a 50mm base. I looked, it appears to be a good size for this figure. If we look, we can put him back like this, and yeah, it looks appropriate. Might be a tad small, but only a tad, if at all. It's a little piece of Gorilla mounting tape. Just a lot of little details on this figure in there. If you're watching and you're painting something, feel free to share a link to it. Alright, got this on something. See, just on a bottle cap. Stick it on a hobby holder here. This way we don't get any of the texture paste or anything else on our fingers. Alright, we're gonna make just cork. This is just like bulletin board cork, right? Just gonna tear this pieces till we get something that looks about like that. And then tear a smaller piece, we'll put it that. Probably something like that, right? Sure. And then we'll build a little bit more up on top to give it some more dimension, and then we'll hit it with some texture paste, and the texture paste will take a couple of hours to dry, so we need to do this now so that the texture paste will dry fine whilst we're doing everything else. So let's just take, this is just Gorilla, come on, there we go, glue. Just gonna drop that down on there. I like some overhang on my bases, unless they just can't have it due to gaming reasons. I think it just makes them more natural. Okay. Having some gaps and stuff also just makes it feel more natural. We're going to drop a little bit of, since we're on a timeline, we're going to drop some activator. This will just make sure that everything's glued down on us. Okay. Now what we want to do, this guy should be over on that corner. Let's build up this other side just a little bit with some other stuff. The goal here is to make this not look like cork, to make it look more natural, right? If we did something like that and like that, I think that's what we'll do. Then we'll hit it with some texture paste to even further. Just skies it. Okay. And something like this. Okay. And then we'll put one kind of small rock on the other end. It'll help disguise the true nature of the material that we're working with. Okay. And we'll just take something like this and we'll just, and he should still, yeah, he'll still fit there fine. Okay. And then we'll hit this with just a little bit of texture of, this is activator, this makes glue dry instantly. Alright. So I think that's all the blue. So now what we're going to do real quick, let's clean up our thing. Like I said, I totally forgot that this needed to happen whilst it was being painted. Because this figure really needs to get done tonight. So now what we need to do is take... what is this brush? Oh, interesting. We need to take this tool right here and some AK rough terrain. And we're just going to spread it all over, basically. And I'm going to give it... This is just going to help disguise that everything is like at the same height, right? That there's really only 3 layers or something. It's going to give us an effect that there's intermediate layers to things, right? It's going to hide some of that texture of the cork, which just looks like cork. You can totally tint this stuff with paint. Not a problem. I just prefer to paint it all afterwards. I'll have to be real careful. Some randomness is really good here. It just really helps the randomness. Otherwise, cork bases look like cork bases. This just helps it look a little different. Okay. So his feet are going to be back here, so we're going to smooth this out a little bit here, give him a better place to stand. We're going to add a little bit more over here. Alright. And then we're just going to wait for that to dry, and then we'll prime it and paint it. And then his feet already have pins in them, so we'll just pin his feet to it is what we'll do. If you ever use this product, all I can do is highly suggest on this terrain product that you not get the stuff inside of the threads and then close it with the stuff on the threads, because effectively it acts like glue on the threads and it will be a nightmare trying to get it off. It is really not fun at all. So keep it off the threads. We're going to clean this off. If you've got texture paste or something like that on a tool, don't just rinse it off in paint water rinse, because otherwise your paint water is going to pick up all sorts of little gritty granules, and you're going to really regret that. I speak from unfortunate experience. Okay, we've been going about an hour. Alright, let's take a look at some other cool things I'm working on real quick. This little barbarian chick, this little barbarian girl here. I still gotta print her other hammer. It's like an iced hammer. So this will be fun. That's not a commission technically, but it's for a game that I'm doing lots of other. Same with this. This is such a cool figure. This is like a samurai girl. So cool. I really love this one. They are both for the game. This guy, and we'll be working on this guy at some point. Probably next week. These are all from the same Kickstarter. Called Blood in the Sands, I think. And it's a game. This is part of the arena for the game, right? And so like you're gonna have like 2 characters in the arena like fighting off against each other. Oop, got sneeze. I didn't sneeze. I thought I had to, but I didn't. So yeah, it's a Kickstarter. It's coming out in October. Called Blood in the Sands, I think. The gunslinger that I did, the orc that I did, and then that barbarian and these figures are all from that. And this is like a whole arena that's going to be quite large. And then they'll sit, and there's certain rules for like pushing your opponent back. And there's going to be like a wall of spikes that can go right here, um, a wall of fire that can go right there. And then there's going to be like an alternate arena where it's like a floating island and stuff like that. There's just some really cool stuff, honestly. Super excited about these. The fire that got sculpted for this looks really good and takes an LED. And if you print it right and light it right, um, then it looks just freaking awesome. Like, um, yeah, the creator Greg showed me some samples of what he's doing with the fire, and it just looks freaking sweet. Yeah, the models really look great. Like, he's got a variety of sculptors that he's working with for these models, and there's so many like just awesome models coming out. Um, these I think two other painters are working on these. Mike from Epic Duck Studios, I think he's going to do the official one for these. I'm doing these for my girl, for my daughter, so she can play with the game. She usually likes to play girl characters, so I'm going to paint up a couple for her to play. So yeah, they just look really sweet. I'm super excited for that to come out. Okay. All right, we gotta get back to painting our figure because we still have a mega crap ton to do. All right, so this is where we're at. Um, we need to do his little waistband thing, his little belt, right? Okay, let's just knock that out real quick. I'm not going to fret too much about that. Just gonna do it in a slightly different shade of brown for now. This is not something that is ever going to be a highlight of the model. We just got to figure out, the main thing that's got to be figured out at this point is where the golds are going to go. That's one of the main things left. Trying to keep the golds limited to small areas. I don't want big areas of gold, because if I do them small, I can do them non-metallic. If I do them large areas of gold, I probably need to use metallic paint, and I really hate using metallic paint. I'm just not sure my non-metallic is up to a large surface on a large model of that. Right, let's do the pants as well. The pants, you can have some form of khaki-ish pants. Where do we? Yeah, that'll work. You'll have kind of a dirty khaki pant. It's just a little bit under here and on his butt is all. We're going to keep the pants relatively dark. What we'll probably do is go up only to khaki highlight. Then we might even just do something like a wash or something just to bring it back down. N&M can be really scary. I'll grant you that. It definitely can be. Like, but I don't know. I prefer it these days usually just because metallic paint is such a pain to work with. Like, I feel like metallic paint is just, it makes me want to cry just like using it. I still got to figure out what this is going to be. This is one of the things bugging me right now, whatever this. feel like it's gotta be, maybe it's a different, yeah, let's do like, ooh, it could be red. Yeah, that's what we'll do. It'll be red. It'll be red with like gold studs. There we go. I dig that. His horse needs a little red. Perfect. We are trying to avoid too much Christmas here, though, with red and green. Red, green, and gold. He's like the Chinese Christmas general. Is that right? I hope that's not offensive to anybody. I really do. Oh man, what the heck just happened there? Like all my paint started wicking down into other places for some reason. Did not think it was that fluid. The heck? I mean, yeah, this is Santa General. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think this will work. We just got to make sure we don't go too red. Like, this is probably as red as we want to go, and what I'll probably do just now, because we need to get some contrast around each one of those rings, is I will probably hit it with a wash. Even though it's a little big for a wash and it's a little smooth for a wash, if I hit it with a wash, it's going to circle each one of those studs for me without doing much else. And if I hit it with the right wash, it'll tone it down for me, because I think I started off a little bright. Nice thing about Pro Acryls is you almost always can get away with one coat. Very rarely you need two coats of something. Using one coat of something is a really quite a large time saver compared to two. Yeah, I think that'll be the only red that we use beside what's already on there. Pro Acryl's so nice. It really is. It's just beautiful paint. That's the only way to put it. It makes so many things so easy. What is this? This is like a black wash? There's some black wash down in these holes. I'm like discovering things that are on my palette that like I forgot that they were there. Alright, we need to finish up our pants while we're waiting for that red to dry. They were khaki. We're just gonna move up to a khaki highlight. Mix some of that in our khaki shadow. Again, the pants are not something we want to really spend any time on because they're just never going to be noticed. We try to spend most of our time on cool things and less time on less cool things. That sounds simple, but that's kind of the truth of it. I think we did not finish his belt, so we're going to need to do that at some point before I forget about it. I think overall this is working out. It's a lot of it's really gonna pop when a lot of it's really gonna pop when oh, that's the next color. When I do black line in at the end, that's gonna help a lot of it. And when his helmet gets done, that's gonna make the face look a lot better. Yeah, Procreate just I'm trying to think about how to describe why Procreate is what it is. Things just blend so well, and it has such a pigment concentration that it just makes certain things just so much easier. I feel like these two things ended up way too close to the same color, and I don't like that. Like his belt and his whatever, technically they're very different, but they, like, when it all came out of the wash, they ended up way too close to the same color. So what we're gonna do, add some texture here. This, and I think what we're gonna do, one of the only Citadel contrast paints that I actually really like is Snakebite Leather. And I think what we're going to do is use it right here on this little belt. Because I've highlighted this guy in such a way that I think the Snakebite's going to go over it real nicely. We'll see. Snakebite's just a really lovely leather color. Like, I don't like it that much for its like contrasty properties, but the color of it is just a really good color. We're going to thin it down just a little bit, and I'm going to use it a little more like a glaze. Hey, look at that. It does really well on just certain kinds of surfaces and certain looks that you go for. It just really does well. All right, I missed a little spot of red here. Okay, I think that what we're gonna do is we're gonna push it up to a bright red, and then we're gonna wash it back down, and then we'll see what we want to do after the wash dries. We're gonna hit it with like a purple wash or something, because I really want to tone the red down here, because otherwise it's going to be really bright, and I don't want it that bright. I guess we're going to use the same red combination, though, all the reds, so that it stays cohesive, right? So we'll just go ahead and start highlighting all the reds here. This is just a little bold pyrrole red and burnt red. I keep painting over there and then realizing you guys can't see that. Just throwing some colors on here. And we're probably going to hit that with like a purpley red wash. Now I'm just straight gold pyrrole red, which is just like a super saturated red. So we're going to start it off like that so that when we tone it back down, it's not too crazy. Reds tend to be somewhat transparent, which sucks for coverage, but is great for blending. They blend really easily because of that. This is a figure that I really wish I'd been given a longer timeline to do because, like, really would like to push him a little higher level than I'm going to end up. But when you're given the file the week before, you do what you can do. I keep trying to paint over there. What's up, flying poop? Is that really poop? That's awesome. Thanks. I'm relatively happy with it right now. So there are parts that I like and parts that I, don't hate. We're gonna highlight up just one more level on a few places. We're gonna go a little pink with the highlight instead of a little orange. A lot of times with red I do orange highlights, but if we do orange highlights, orange is saturated like the red. And what's that? And if we do a saturated color, then it's just going to make a pop. And what we're really trying to do is keep this red somewhat in the background, right? We don't want this red to draw too much attention, right? Yeah, I think this is one of those models that's actually really cool. Like, I really like it. Like, I think if it turns out well, it's really gonna help the Kickstarter. Between that and like the dragons, I think it's really gonna pop the Kickstarter. Like, I was told my dragons look too much like a digital render and not enough like a hand painted dragon. It's like, is that a problem? Like, they're painted too well? I guess so. I mean, that's possible, right? Okay, so at this point, the reds look good, but they're a little too punchy. The funny thing is, like, I don't paint a lot of dragons. Like, I got known at one point as like a dragon guy, and like I had painted one dragon. The only thing was I taught. I put out a real popular video. It was like how to paint dragon scales, and like just doing that apparently got me that. All right, so what we're gonna do? I'm gonna take a little bit of our purple. This is a purple wash, and then we're gonna use a little bit of this filament contrast flush. That should be enough. Better too much than not enough. And we're just kind of making like a purpley wash, and it's gonna tone down all these this red just a little bit, and it's gonna help us get some contrast on those. I've got two kind of makeup. Let me finish this, and then I'll talk about makeup brushes. This is a little bit of retarder and a little bit of flow aid. This is just going to help the washes do what they're supposed to do and not stain as much. Give us a longer working time. There's two kind of makeup brush styles that I recommend. The cheap straight up makeup brushes that you get at like Walgreens, Walmart, Dollar Tree. These are the e.l.f. brushes. I think this. There we go. E.l.f. See e.l.f. E.l.f. brushes. And then the ones that I've really come to like are actually the Rosemary & Co. Smush brushes. See smushing right there? So the Rosemary & Co. Smushing brushes. I really like them. I feel like I get a little bit more control. It's the same concept, but I feel like they're just a little bit nicer. Alright, we're going to mix this wash up a little bit. And then we're going to, is it like we want? Yeah, I think that's about right. And then we're going to just hit, we might leave the wrist stuff alone so that it's a slightly different red. And it doesn't, and I don't think hitting it with a wash would be a good thing. The main thing we're trying to get with a wash is a little bit of a circle around the rivets because it'll help them pop. And we want to desaturate this red just a little bit, right? We can do all that stuff by hand, but if we can get a wash to behave like we want it to, it'll make things a lot easier. But we're kind of risking a little bit on such a flat surface. You just steal your woman's makeup brushes. This should just give us, hopefully, if we do it right, just a little bit of a contrast so that when we go to put the gold studs on there, that they're already a little contrasted. Hopefully. That's the goal here. I think he's getting there, slowly but surely. We still gotta figure out what we're gonna do with like the armor and leg panels. We need to finish the pants real quick. They're just about done. I think all they really need is a little bit more texture. Highlight, highlight, highlight. Then we'll figure out if we're gonna hit that with a glaze to tie it together better. It may not need it, just where it's at, but it might be a little bright for my taste. We'll see. We need to start thinking about all these his chainmail. We need to start thinking about what we're gonna do there. I think we can safely go ahead and throw something on it right now without worrying about hitting anything to be careful about later. Because I think all these panels around it we're gonna have to be careful anyways. What's the pictures? Do they have a helmet on? He doesn't really. Okay. Oh lordy, people. Oh, I need a short break. Ugh. Questions, comments, anything? Feel free to take a moment to drop a link to your own work if you have questions. If you'd like to see anything, if you'd like me to make a comment, this is a great time for this. I'm going to chill out for just a few minutes here. And then I guess what we're going to do is we'll go ahead and throw something on those chainmail panels, and we can figure out exactly what to do there. I guess we want kind of a steel color there. And then we're going to do just a lot of gold trim. I think that's what we're going to do, is just gold trim. Should his helmet be red? His helmet should be red. Let me take a look at another picture of him. I can't decide on his helmet. I'm thinking maybe gold or red with gold trim. I don't know. It's kind of a weird helmet, right? Oh, one helmet is green. I guess we could do green. Yeah, he probably wants it done green. All right, we'll do it green. We will should have done it earlier, but we will do it now. All right, whilst I'm taking a break before we need to get that on there so that it can kind of be drying and doing what it's gonna do, right? I don't think that's the green I started with. I think that's the war colors green that we put out for something, because that's not covering for crap. Like war colors is good for some things, but not for like actually like base coating. Oh my lordy. Most of the time people do green. Alright, well green it is. Get one base coat down here whilst it can start drying while I am relaxing for a moment. I think all that's we're gonna paint it all green right now, and then we can figure out if some parts are not as green as others, and we'll see. We're definitely doing the trim around it gold. That's decided. All right, we'll let that sit. Oh, good. Somebody giving me something else to look at here for a moment. The latest thing that I've been working on, my wife is working on putting cloth over the nose and. Oh, okay. Let me click this. Okay, cool. I would share, but it's a video, and there's not a great way for me to do that. Like just a picture. Oh, okay. That's really cool though. It's like what is it? Japanese demon? Yeah, it's like a Japanese demon face mask, like a COVID face mask. That's cool. I dig it. Yeah, yeah. Oni. There we go. Oni. Yeah. So I dig that. That's very cool. Oh, yeah. I've looked at some of those masks. Um, if it makes sense to like print one off and use, they might be fun. You know. Mm. Turned out well though. Yeah. Ender 3 is great for that kind of thing. Those larger prints where there's not a lot of details and stuff like that. Oh. Mm, okay. Hate your Ender 3? um, yeah, I have an Ender 3 that sits kind of unused right now because I had so much trouble out of the Ender 3. It would constantly get out of alignment and stuff because it's got a bar, right, for the x axis that travels the y. I don't know, the x. Yeah, so the x is a gantry bar that travels up and down, and if you look, it is just engineered to fall. Like it's going to get out of alignment. Like it's just engineered that way. There's no way it cannot. Um, and so mine just kept sinking and kept sinking, and all I ever had was problems out of it. And they came out with the Ender 5, and I was like, oh, that makes way more sense. Like the engineering aspect of the Ender 5 just makes so much more sense than the way the engineering works on the Ender 3. And so as soon as the 5 was available, um, I um, picked up a 5, and it's so much better than the 3. Like, it just, yeah. Okay. Second coat on here, and we'll figure out what we're going to do with that exactly. Hmm. Three burnt out motherboards, that sucks, dude. Like, that just kind of blows. Um, since we're gonna do like a kind of a steel color for his chainmail, we're gonna throw down some blue black on it, and then what we'll probably do is blue black, and then we'll do a little wash to tint the recesses a little more black, just like something either a black or very close to black wash. That. But we might do that at the end. Might do it after we figure out how we're going to highlight this chainmail. This chainmail is one of the reasons that I blew the model up to this scale as opposed to a smaller scale. This chainmail, in order to survive at a smaller scale, really needs to be a little bit more pronounced. Yeah, yep. Or just look at the Ender 5. Like, you can do all these upgrades to the Ender 3, but at the end of the day, it's still an Ender 3. I may regret going this blue. A lot more blue than I wanted. We'll see. Let that dry. Still waiting for our green up there to dry. We gotta figure out his boots. His boots are just gonna be some sort of brown. All the little dingalings, dongs on his boots are gonna be gold. All this kind of trim, like this stuff, like these, um, like this stuff right here. Probably this trim around here, this over here, his face. All that's gonna be gold. This is gonna be gold. This is going to be gold. These little things right there are going to be gold. This demon part up here is going to be gold. So we're going to end up with a good amount of gold. Um, yeah, definitely. Resin like comes with its own challenges, but they're easier is maybe the right word. This is bugging me right here. This doesn't look right. Um, I mean, the fact of the matter is, if you're gonna do minis, you need a resin printer. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Once you get a resin printer, like you're gonna be like, why the heck did I ever bother trying to print minis on an FDM? Like, you only think that FDM looks decent for minis until you have a resin, and then like the moment you get a resin printer, you're like, that was dumb. Like, why did I do that? Like, lots of people convince themselves that FDM can do miniatures. It works fine. No, it really doesn't. Like, it only works fine because you're like telling yourself that it works fine. It doesn't actually work fine. Yeah, for sure. I got my Ender 3 with that intention as well. I never expected it to do miniatures, but a lot of people do. And that's kind of the problem. There are some exceptions, kind of. Some Fat Dragon's stuff where he's specifically designed miniatures for like the Ender 3 basically. Those do better than others. But like it's a pretty low bar. We're gonna go ahead and just start base coating some other stuff while we're waiting for some stuff to dry. So we're gonna throw some on all the parts that are gonna be gold. We're gonna throw some brown, like a dark umber on there, because that's how I start my golds, non-metallic golds. Then we're gonna figure out we need to tone the blue down in that steel that we just did. I don't want it that blue. So instead of like overdoing it, we're just gonna make sure that as we go up, we're definitely on the more neutral side. I'm not gonna do all the what, the little gold stuff. I'm just gonna get the few big golds going so that when I'm ready for them, they're nice and dry. And if we have to retouch them later, that's fine too. But at least the majority will be done so that when we go to do it later, it'll just need a retouching. Oh man, he's got like a whole thing down in there that I never even noticed. Is that gonna be visible from any angle? Maybe. We're gonna make. Yeah, I know what we're gonna do with that. We'll handle that probably last. Very close to last at least. I did not see any of that until this moment. Rather, if I did, I didn't notice it really before. Okay. I've seen Golden Nugget. That's amazing. Again, this is one of those things where I genuinely think they only look amazing if they're side by side with the same thing printed in resin. Like, it would not look amazing. Like, I would be hard pressed to believe that. Like, I've just done so many FDM prints now and so many resin prints. Like, it would take a lot to convince me that any printer FDM printer on the market has a chance in hell on a mini of beating um a resin. Like, any FDM printer has a chance in hell of beating a resin printer on a mini. Like, it would just take a lot. Even super fine layers, because the resin, it's just entirely different technology that in a lot of ways works just a lot better. We're going to take our brush here with smush brush. We're going to take some of our reds. It looks like our saddle red has the washes dried. So we're just going to use this to kind of stipple back in a little bit of our texture here. I don't want to do a lot, but we lost a lot of our subtleties there, and that's okay. It's kind of expected. But it gained us a lot because it did what we wanted it to do, which was gave a little circle around each one of those things. And made it just a little bit different than these other reds. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take, just going to run a little bit of the pink red. Just a few places here. Just to help highlight it. adding in a few scratches, dings. Character marks, we'll call them. Okay. Alright. Now, since we're done with the saddle, pretty much what we can do, we can go ahead and we can get all those little dots. We can make them brown to be prepped for gold. The nice thing about doing these little kind of rivets is a great place if you've never done non-metallic metal to do non-metallic metal for the first time, because like rivets and stuff like that are super easy to do non-metallic, and they look really good um done non-metallic. Like they're just an easy win, as opposed to something like I saw one painter who was trying to teach non-metallic to a group of students who had never done it before, and he was like, "We're gonna paint a full suit of armor," and it was like, wait, what? Like, why would you start with that? That's like the hardest thing you can do. Like, I haven't even done a full non-metallic suit of armor. Like, that sounds like a level of hell to me, and like, I don't typically mind non-metallic, but like, full suit of armors like suck, right? That just there's no part of me that like wants to do one. I know I'm gonna have to do one, maybe even soon actually, but like, in no chance do I want to do. Okay. Alright, I realized in base coating our gold areas we forgot to do right there. Knows the style. What's the style of non-metallic you want to learn? There are definitely different styles. Non-metallic is generally one of those things that you need to work up to in terms of uh oh yeah, the cartoon style. Not a big fan of that. Um I mean, it has its place, I guess. Um Technically we need to do the buckles down here. We'll do the buckles gold. You would never have that. Just reeks of like, I can't imagine a possible scenario in which case you would have gold buckles. Like, that just gold just doesn't have nearly enough strength that I can't do that to myself. Maybe brass, but I'm not gonna do steel. We're gonna have plenty of gold by the time this thing's done. Um, yeah. So, cartoon gold, yeah, cartoon gold or cartoon non-metallic is a thing. Is that what you want to learn? Oh, Sergio. So I took the weekend class with Sergio, like in person, and um, I even got to like be tour like Sergio's tour guide around Atlanta for the weekend and stuff like that. Sergio's super cool guy. His non-metallic though, like the class was probably the I would say the least helpful non-metallic class that I've ever had as far as non-metallic. Basically, his rule for non-metallic is Make it look cool. Like that sums up like 4 hours that we spent on non-metallic was make it look cool. Okay, like the light should do this and it should do this and it might kind of come over here and it might do this, but in the end, like ignore all that and just make it look cool. Okay. Like, not exactly sure how helpful that was. I get it, man. Like, I get it, but that just really wasn't as helpful as it could have been. Sure. Which one is my? Is this my? Yeah, this is this. We need to kind of highlight up our helmet here. These kind of smush brushes here are ideal for doing these kinds of curved surfaces and the curves like a helmet, because doing these kind of surfaces with a traditional brush is rough. Like, you ever tried to paint like the top of a ball with a pointed brush? Like, it's super hard. But like, that's not hard at all really with one of these brushes. What we'll do is we'll cheat a little bit, bring it up faster, and then just figure out how much we want to wash it down after. I wish I had gone this color of green for the cape and stuff like that. I ended up going way too saturated on the rest of it, to the point I might actually repaint it. Like, just really don't like some of how saturated it is. We'll see. I'm gonna see if I can like rescue it, but we'll see. Just, I see there's some chat stuff. I just real quick. Went a little different direction here than I wanted, so we're gonna take it back down green a little bit. That's okay. We'll push it up another level and then we'll take it back down. Kick it back down. If you're gonna kick it back down with a glaze, you gotta make sure you take it up high enough to kick it back down and not lose kind of just a jet. Like, so if you go too far, you gotta commit and go too far. Right? Like, we've definitely gone too far. We're like white on top, which is not what we want, but we had to do that because when we take it back down. Alright, let me switch this up. I want to learn the kind that no matter what angle you look. So, have you ever seen that in person? Because I'll tell you right now, like, that. I'm not sure that that really exists. Like, even Sergio's looked amazing, but even the wrong angle on Sergio's looked a little off. Is I so JH does almost all contrast. Was this over um metallic? Because I think this was just all contrast paint. That's his big thing, is contrast paint. He might have done it over metal. No, that's not Latham style. I mean, maybe, but JH is all contrast. Like that's like yeah. You can go follow. He posts all sorts of stuff on the heavier metal group, and everything he does is all contrast paint. Um, that's kind of his shtick. Let's go ahead and what we'll do is we'll throw some green on the helmet here, and we'll tone it back down to where we want it. Green, transparent green. Let's see. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, this didn't go quite the direction I wanted it to. Probably want to do little top things as something different, right? I feel like maybe these ears or whatnot should be gold or something, right? I feel like that would make more sense. So we'll need to hit that with a couple of glazes to bring that down to where we want it. Maybe something like this. This is a more color about. Maybe if I thin this down, it'll be what I want. Wait for that to dry before I mess with it. Well, let's go ahead and figure out what we're gonna do for our chainmail here. We need to work up neutral grays now, because we're too blue there, but I kind of want a blue undertone. This is a warm gray. We can start out warm. It'll contrast nicely, and then we need to move up to a light neutral. We're gonna do warm to a light neutral gray. So we're gonna try that. This is for the what's the word? You know what? I think this brush has too much water in it for the technique I want to do. Okay, we're gonna have to grab a different style brush here. This is a real small makeup brush. I'm gonna try this. Basically gonna be dry brushing here. That's the goal here. Not sure how well it'll show up here. We'll see. The answer is not well. Might not be. Wait, let's add a little bit of this neutral. I really wanted to use that other brush for it, but it was too wet. Yeah. That's starting to pick it up just a little bit. It's about where we want for the moment. It, something happened just there. Got a little down in there more than should have. Got a little more light gray in there. trying to get all of it some, but definitely the middle, because we want it to have this. This is this. Oh yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Like it's solid non-metallic. It just like seeing that in person. I can't believe that would look like metallic in person. Nothing wrong with it. It's just I know what you mean though. Why is there we go. So for me, one of the main reasons that I'm doing non-metallic for all this is that all of my work here that I'm doing here is for pictures, right? Non-metallic just really works better for just a lot better. Just have a lot more control over everything. So much of my work these days is honestly only pictures. Like they're not on anybody's table. Like in pictures and in my um, display case. So as much as it would be nice to worry about certain things, like it's also nice that the main thing is does it look good? Pictures. Like that looks great on camera. In my opinion, like that looks awesome. That's the look that I'm going for on this at least. And you can see it just took very little work to get that, but that's because this is really texture heavy, right? Right, so now what we can do is we can go ahead and hit, I've got to clean this brush and I've got to clean it in a way that it will dry out fast. So I'm going to have to hit it with some acetone. I need to use this brush or the other brush for something else. I still need to fix his helmet. I don't like the helmet. What time is it? It's 8. It'll be probably another couple of hours, I would guess. Just checking messages here. One second, guys. Just checking messages. We'll move on to doing some gold, probably. A little bit. I want to get a sense for how some of the gold is going to look. Alright. I'm going to take a little bit of acetone and clean out 2 of these brushes because I really need them both clean and dry fast. And that's one thing that acetone will do is dry really fast. And these are not the kind of brushes that you have to worry about. Really, where'd my lid for my acetone go? Who stole the acetone lid? That's not a good lid to lose. Yeah. Luckily for the most part in the mini painting community, I would say there are not a lot of assholes. There are some, but there's not a lot. Where in the world did that lid go? So weird. Huh. Okay, I'm gonna put this on there for the moment. I'll have to figure out where my acetone lid went. It's so strange. Okay. Yeah, I would say for the most part. See, look how this is gonna get this clean in a hurry. And it'll dry out in just a minute or two. So I'm gonna use it on some of this gold here. And if you rinse it out in water, it'll take 10 minutes to dry or something, and then I'm kind of toast for doing something in a few minutes with it. I would not clean out like a nice um, sable brush. Look how much that got paint out of that. There you go. I found out that there's actually like there's actually several good painters around me. There's several like super famous, like really good painters around me. And then like one guy that I'd never ever heard of until I was looking for painters around me. And like I look at his work, I'm like, holy hell, like you're really good, dude, but I've never heard of you. And then like just after that, I started hearing about him all the time. And it's Saskatoon Minis. Okay. Yes, actually. Okay. Hold on. Um, Regarding cleaning brushes, I have two recommendations. For your day-to-day cleaning that you just need to kind of get your working stuff out and make the brush good again, this stuff, Gentastics brush Junkin brush goop. This stuff is fantastic. You just dip it in there and then lather your thing up into it. This is great. This is a Monument product. Use that code, that 5% off. Do that. Get some of this. This stuff is fantastic. Now, if your brushes, if you've been using them for a while, um, this stuff is fantastic. Like this stuff, I would I use this probably 2 or 3 times a year, and I just go through all my brushes and I put a little bit of that in here and just take my brush in there and just work it back and forth along. This has got like a round lip, right? So I'm just working it back and forth like that. And this will make brushes like brand new. But this is considerably more expensive, and like there's a whole like it'll strip paint off the handle. Like this is a lot harsher, but it's good for brushes. It's not going to ruin your brush. It's just a lot more of a pain to use. But like even after I thought I had gotten all the paint out with this, I cleaned it with this, and it was just loads of crap coming out. Like I was shocked. I did that recently and I was shocked. This is still good for day-to-day stuff. This is on Monument. What is it? There's a code back here, monumenthobbies.com. If you look up in the chat, there's a link and a coupon code. Um, this is there. I would get some of this for day-to-day stuff. That's the Grimdark painter. He lives like 5 minutes from me. Like, yeah. Um, and then this is like Amazon, I think. I think Amazon has this stuff. Yeah, that's the Grimdark painter. Like totally 5 minutes from me, same city. Like does some really cool stuff. Like I was like, hey, you want to hang out and paint sometimes? And he's like, no. He's like, you want to take a class? I was like, sure, why not? And he wanted some obscene amount of money to take a class, like more than Calvo. So I was like, oh, okay. Um, yeah, yeah. He does some really cool stuff. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get another coat on this helmet to tone it down a little bit. It's definitely too bright here. This is a little bit of War Colors. War Colors is very transparent, but it's got a little better coverage than the ink. The ink was just not doing what I wanted to do. It was leaving too much. So this is gonna tone it down. Yeah, to about where we want it here. Oh, we'll see. I may give it one more coat, and then I guess we're gonna make all his little top knot thing. I get that's a rope. That's what that is. It's like a tied bunny knot, like rope. Oh. Yeah, directly to the base. Yeah, I mean, shit happens, right? Okay, this is very clearly a rope, which means we're gonna totally cheat on this like thing up here, because this kind of like knots, ropes, all that shit like that. Just gonna hit it with a little bit of this is like this is the neutral gray here, right? Not a big fan of contrast paint, but there's a few things that they do really well, and this kind of stuff is one of them. Like like highlighting and shading something really simple like that. So if I you know what, I gotta just gotta make sure I actually colored it all. You know what, we're gonna kick this up a little bit. But what we're gonna do before we throw that, we're just gonna basically do just a little bit of a white shade on a few places. And then we'll throw some contrast over that. And that's just gonna real quickly just be done without me having to worry about too much. We're just gonna throw, this is just some of this snake bite leather. Where'd it go? I need a little more. There it is. Like, I don't use this stuff very often, but every once in a while it's just, specifically the snake bite, I find is just a real easy fix for some non-critical areas. But I do find that I absolutely have to give it like one quick highlight afterwards at least, and then do matte sealant on it because it comes off way too glossy. So what I'll do after that dries is just mix the thing with a little bit of an ivory or a little bit of khaki or something. Yeah, snakebite's almost the only one worth really getting, to be honest with you. I will say snakebite is also a pretty decent starting point for gold. Um as far as non-metallic gold, it's a pretty decent starting point for that. I've been surprised. So like we could do that over here actually. It might actually help us out on his helmet here. We can take and we can make, what we'll do is we'll just clean up a little bit with a lighter color here because this helmet's going to be gold, right? So we'll just give it a nice, just give it some of this. And this, it's a nice starting point for gold. It's definitely not an ending point. But so if we do that, and we throw some snake bite, and then if we take it and we highlight it up through ochres and ivories and stuff, it comes out looking pretty good. We'll try that here. I'll just do it as a technique to show you. It's a good thing to try on that part of the mini. Okay. We are slowly but surely getting there, aren't we? Like, whew, there's just a lot of things on this mini. Let's go ahead and do the rest of the gold while we're waiting for that. So, what do we want to do? I really like, these are the War Colors Ochre set. I really like this for doing gold. And is this yellow ochre? Yep. This is kind of the next step after that. And then we come up and we start looking something like this. Oh, sorry. This is pale yellow. So we're going to move up through that range and we'll see how it looks. We're just going to do the really texture heavy parts right now in this color palette. And then we'll handle all of the, what we'll do is we'll do all of the little rings and trim and everything. We'll do that with the, oh man, I missed a freaking place with that snake bite. We'll do it all the little trim and stuff with the snake bite trick, because that'll work real easy, and then they'll all be the same too, and that'll work. All this kind of stuff being a slightly different shade of gold will look better too, than the trim being the same gold. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take this brush here, and we're just going to. We don't really need to be super careful about this. We get some of this down in the crevices, that's okay. We're not really dry brushing, we're just using this to kind of generally set a tone here. We're not going to do a lot with what's underneath here because we're on a tight timeline, and I don't think there's any picture that we're going to see that in. I will handle that offline after tomorrow, because today is about getting this done because the Kickstarter launches tomorrow. So this needs to be done for that. That's the goal here. What's next? Okay, this thing up here. The teeth are what going to give us a little bit of a problem because they're right next to that steel. These kinds of really texture heavy things are really easy to do with non-metallic. The goal is you can't treat them to in each spike too individualized. Like, I recommend treating the object more as like one whole object. It's hard to describe what I'm saying. Like, if you try to paint each thing individually and highlight it individually, you're really going to struggle to get it to look right. But if you think of it as one kind of cohesive surface, it's going to look a lot better. So see how gold this is already looking? We were already doing good, and all we've done is we started brown and we skipped a whole bunch and we moved into a much lighter shade. The one of the things is you don't want too much mid-tone. You don't want too many transitions. You want to skip tones that you would normally do. It sounds weird, but part of the trick is um, bumping up contrast in very specific ways. All right, so let's have him be a little more in the middle. So we'll do it a little bit on the edge, but we're going to focus a little more on the middle. And then as soon as we start brightening this up, it's immediately going to be like, holy hell, that's metallic. Like as soon as we add in some brighter things, it's just going to go metallic real fast. Right? And we haven't done anything hard at this point. Absolutely not. All right, we need to get these teeth a little bit here. Okay. We're gonna do a little bit of the yellow ochre because it's super saturated, which will come off nice. It's also just a little bit lighter, but I think what we're gonna mix it with a little bit of the pale yellow because it's not light enough. And then we'll go pale yellow, and then we'll go white. There we go. We're looking for about this color, right? And then we'll jump from this to pale yellow probably. There we go. The goal here is I just have a real gentle touch, and there's not a lot of paint. Right? See how awesome that's looking? And we just have hardly done anything. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go straight to our pale yellow. And this is the one where you really have to make sure that you don't have too much paint on your brush. And you really are being very gentle with it, right? Because we're really picking things up now. See, over here. Here, catch this edge. Catch the edge a little bit. What do you guys think? How's that looking on camera? I think it's looking good. I'm gonna start focusing here a little more. That. Okay, now we're gonna take some white on our normal brush, and we're gonna be really, really selective with it. We gotta make sure that we only do very little bit of white here. Like I got it somewhere just now that I really didn't want to. I got it down in there. Okay. Okay, we're gonna do that. Okay. Now we're going to come down with the white and we'll see if we can catch the teeth a little bit here. All right, a little bit. Okay. Come over here. We're going to catch tops edges of stuff here. I can do that without totally hosing it up. Painting on camera is hard sometimes, guys. All right, we're going to let that dry for a second. We're going to come over here. This is the one where what we need to do is focus on the tips of things. Now, if we had more time and we wanted to make all of this look just a little bit more complex and a little bit better, what we could do is at this point take some sort of mid-tone glaze it all back down, and then build it back up, and it would just make. I'm doing that a little bit here because I don't like the way some of this happens, so I'm just toning this just a little bit down here, and then I'll build it back up. But if we had time, we'd do that for pretty much everything, because it just makes everything just a little more cohesive, right? Anytime you can kind of you know, work things up and then back down and up and back down to where you're adding layers on layers on layers, and you're just, totally going all ogre-like on it, then that's really gonna help sell the effect that you're looking for. All right. Okay. Come back over here now. Just hitting edges and tops of stuff, and if we do too much, we can tone it down and come back again. We just want it to really pop. Okay. Some of these tops I don't like exactly how that turned out, so we're going to take and we're just taking one of our midtones and we're just kind of glazing over it a little bit, just to tone it down just a little bit. Alrighty. We're going to go ahead and yeah, that looks badass. Okay, we're going to go ahead and give this thing a coat of this, because we're going to be doing it that same kind of steel that yeah. We might have to retouch the teeth a little bit, that's okay. We didn't really spend any time doing anything with them because I suspected that we were going to need to retouch them as far as the gold teeth on his dragon goes. So that's okay. Why am I still painting? We're going to throw a layer down here, probably just one layer for tonight because, like I said, we're painting to get this thing done for the pictures. I think he's looking good. We can go ahead while that's working. We can do all the rivets here real quick. We're just gonna take, I think we're gonna take this, mix it with a little bit of this. We're making kind of an intermediate ochre here. Then we're just gonna, we want to make sure we leave the brown, and we're painting just the top of these rivets. Right? Right, so we're doing that. Mm, okay. Making headway. Still have a lot of little details to do on this model. Some big ones still, but a lot of little ones. Actually, that gold looks really good on camera, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm really happy with that. That's gonna look awesome. Now we move up, and we're gonna do a little bit of this yellow with this yellow. We're gonna paint an even smaller area now. And we start wanting to lean the highlights a little bit, because this is like a curved rivet. They're going to be a little more pointing towards the top if we can. So they would point towards the light surface on a curved surface. Okay. Painting rivets, painting rivets. We're going to take some of just our pale yellow now, and we're going to make just a dot. This is the pale yellow, and all we're making is a very small dot. Mhm. Now on a 28mm rivet, you can probably get away with like 1 or 2 of these levels, right? This is white, and we're just going to come back in an even smaller dot. We're going to use a smaller brush for this because I need this. The smallest brush that I ever use in any sort of practical sense is a size 0 8404, which is not a small brush for what many people consider small. Okay. All right. Okay, so we need to do the boots still. Let's just throw some brown on the boots here. He's got like socks on or something. We'll have to figure out what to do about that. Let's just throw some brown so that something's down, and then we'll figure out something easy to do for these socks here, for these, whatever this bottom part of his shoe is here. It's like this part, whatever that is. We'll throw some brown and we'll figure out how to shade it here in a moment. This is like some light umber, I think. The goal with shoes and feet is to spend the least amount of time possible painting them because ain't nobody looking at it. Okay. We got some paint there. Is there anything else that we just haven't put paint on yet? The shaft. Let's go ahead and get some paint. We're gonna throw. Need wood colors. It's kind of a trick I like for wood, where you paint it in flesh colors and then you throw some ink on it, wood ink. So we might do that. I don't know. I don't really have flesh colors out though. So let's just throw some. We want a little bit of green in our wood. It'll go well too. So we're just mixing up kind of a olive green here. We'll paint that up. Right now the goal is to have some sort of a base coat on most things here at this point, so that we can kind of be working on finishing all the details of things at this point, right? Still need to do the horse tails and stuff like that. I'll figure out how to do that. We still need to fix his helmet a little bit. I would say there's not a lot done at this point, but there's not a lot that's like super far away, right? Like a lot of things are like getting close to done. We probably want to think about this sword here, this head on the spear blade rather. So luckily we have this real nice curved portion right here, which means we can treat the rest of this like it's crap. Like all this part over here can basically be like if we pull this picture up. So if we look at his weapon, the only part that really looks like metal is the edge, and the rest is just like nondescript dark, right? So luckily we get to kind of do that. So what we're gonna do is just pull in the grays here. And we'll just wait for that to dry real quick. I kind of have to decide what this random piece of trim around there is going to be. We might just make our lives easy and do it with it's such a nondescript little tiny piece of something. I think if we just throw, what's the word I'm looking for, that snake bite on it, I think we can do that. It'll be fine. We might be able to get away with just a little bit of that on there rather than have to worry about it. So we're just throwing a light coat of this on it. It's just like such a random little piece of trim. This is one of those pieces of trim that like I wish had not been included because it just doesn't really seem to serve a function, right? Okay, this is dry for right now. We'll wait for that stuff to dry. Just gonna randomly kind of stipple texture all over this. Like I said, we're probably gonna have to redo the teeth on him. That's okay. We're just trying to get, we're gonna throw a little bit of red in here, a little bit of brown in this area. Just giving it a little bit of interesting character. Because the blade is the only portion that we really care about. The sharp portion. So we don't really need to do too much. We're going to spend just enough time on it to make sure that it doesn't look wrong. Stippling in here. And then we'll probably add we'll probably add a second. I was taking this opportunity to define that edge. Crap. Oh, we'll probably stick a couple of like word I'm thinking of. Nicks and scratches and stuff in this area to give it some character. Okay. Now I think I really like this look, and we can get away with, oh crap, not that. Second. I like this look for the metal where the highlight is, and I think we can get away with that on this lighting source too. Let me check messages here real quick, guys. Okay. I will be right back, guys. I'm gonna get a drink. Use the little Chris's room. Mhm. Yeah. Okay. That's ruining the effect of my be right back. There we go. That's totally my fault. Dang it. I've been talking on mute this whole time when I went to the restroom. That's funny. I've been talking for like 15, 20 minutes. That's funny. That's hilarious. Well, at least somebody's watching. I was like, I don't know if anybody's even there anymore. Like, am I painting on stream for any reason right now? That's funny. I'm like, everybody's so quiet. Maybe nobody's there. What I was saying was, huh, now that you can hear me, I'm saying I've got to do these panels here in gold non-metallic. I kind of painted myself into that corner. I don't really have another color that I've reserved that would work well to do them. And good. Did you use my discount code? I hope you used the discount code because there's a code, Spotted Painter. Um, excellent. Good. Um, I kind of painted myself in a corner where these panels have to be. You know what? They would look good as. Oh, I could do them as wood. That's a lot easier. I'm gonna do that because doing these panels as gold. Oh my gosh, that was just gonna be so much work. I can do them as wood. I think that'll look good. Gold might be too much right there. Yeah, I'm good with that. I was really worried. I was like, man, doing these panels in non-metallic is gonna take ages because they're just a really complex surface. I can do them in wood. I am in my mind. That's what they will be is wood. We'll do them. We got so much light stuff. We'll do them a real dark wood, and that'll work perfect. In that case, what I'll do, I'm gonna paint these up a little bit, and then the only other contrast paint that I really like is Wildwood. It's a really nice dark wood color. We'll probably cheat and use these on these panels. Maybe. I don't know. I don't really have a lot of colors that I enjoy doing wood for. Mm, what if we take some of this, some of this? What's this? Yeah, I can, that'll work. So we'll highlight this up a little bit, and then we'll throw on some of the wildwood, maybe, or the wood ink, one of the two. Probably the wildwood, because it's going to save me some time. And it should be okay on this. I'm a little concerned. Yeah. We're just sketching in some rough highlights here for what's going to be these kind of wooden, dark wooden panels here. There's so much gold and other things that they'll come off. They'll look really good being a dark, dark kind of color. Just got to contrast up first here. Oh yeah, we're just gonna add some lines to these, and then throw a little bit of our wildwood on there. And it should do what we want for this kind of thing. Hopefully. I was really worried about the spear. That turned out to be like the easiest freaking thing. Okay. Let's see. Let's see what this does. Nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not it. Not it. Where'd it go? Seriously, where'd it go? Okay, now I'm actually a little. Oh, here it is. While we've got this wildwood out, we're also going to throw some. I think our base is mostly dry over here. So we need to throw something. Well, no, because we're going to primer that guy. Alright. That's okay. Alright. The goal here is to not ruin the non-metallic panels by doing this. But we want a really dark wood here. Okay. Yeah, I think that pops nicely. I think it makes the panels pop. I'm okay with that. Probably if I'd doing it again, I would have reversed it and put this underneath and put the snake bite leather on top. Thinking about it now, but hindsight's 2020, and I'm not redoing it. So yeah, this is the way that it is. All right. Alrighty. I think we're down to leather trim or gold trim, the tail, and some shoe stuff. Let's knock out shoe stuff here real quick. Just do it real fast with one of these brushes, which I did not clean out last time. Fantastic. Now I gotta clean these brushes out. For some reason I friggin' totally forgot to clean out those brushes. That's okay. A little acetone. Fix them right up. Alright. Let's take. There we go. Use an acetone because it'll get the paint out, and it will also make the brush dry out really fast. I would not do this on a nice brush. These are not nice brushes. Not use acetone on your nice brushes. This is strictly on these dry brushing brushes that I need to be ready to go, because it dries out super fast. Super fast. Alright, let's working on this guy, And black lining is really going to help in certain parts. Oh, we need this down here. Like that. Throw something more on there later. Getting these little buckles down here real quick. Can't even see them on their screen, I don't think. Not sure if they'll ever be seen at all, but they'll be fine. Need something at least a little darker. Yeah, that's not dark enough. Alright, fix the buckles later. What I really need is the shoes. Just throwing just a little bit of texture and highlight on the shoes. Absolutely nothing of note. Nobody ever cares about the shoes. They just have to have something there. And then I think what we'll do for the little feet things, for the little whatever these are, I have no idea what these are. Just highlight them up a little bit so that we can throw a wash or something in there just to differentiate a little bit. Right? Again, a lot of my techniques are all about something fast enough that looks good, doesn't take you forever. So, now that we have that, I'm just going to take a little bit of this. That. 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 Alrighty. Need some black real quick. That buckle's gonna bug the crap out of me. That's it. You know what? What am I doing? I can do that with black ink later. Asking for trouble there. Right, we need to highlight few things here on our leathery bits on the top of the head and stuff like that. This is just a little bit of the contrast paint mixed with a lighter color. Just gonna highlight just a little bit here. Alright. Alright. We need to start doing all of our gold trim, I guess. Probably. Need to highlight these panels just a little bit. My to highlight these just a little bit. They're a little flat, these panels here. Alrighty. Yeah, that helped it out just a little bit. Alright, now we've got to do a freaking load of gold crap. Is it I think I said I was gonna use the trick for mm, contrast paint. I'm not sure if I am or not. Let's see, I've got that. I think that might take longer in this case, so we're not gonna do that because this shit's got to get done. Let's do this. Alright. And this. Okay. Alright. So what I'm gonna have to do is come in and I gotta highlight each one of these freaking, or base coat each one of these rings here that's gonna be gold. Shoe here is gonna be gold. Okay. Okay. Alright. Alright, one, I gotta make sure I'm doing this somewhat systematically or I will lose track. That's one leg is done. I'm working on the next arm. This is a mini where as soon as I did the weapon and it turned out, I think that just turned out great. Then that became the focus. Like, ain't nobody else gonna be looking at Jack Diddley. So once you find the focus, like, it really lets you off the hook for a lot of things. You just don't have to. All you gotta do is make sure their focus stays there. You're good. Alright, one arm, one leg. Okay. Next arm. That's a sleeve. Okay. It's gonna take forever to freaking blackline this thing. Okay. I gotta be off the stream by like 2 my time regardless here. Okay. Next arm is done. Alright. There we go. Okay. Trying to see if I'm missing anything obvious. Not really. But this is not done. Just giving things a once over and then I'm gonna move on to making it look more goldish. Alright, now we're gonna start mixing in the gold colors here. Take some of this, try to see how easily we can make this look gold here. Alright, that should be the next one here. Just putting down, this is like an ochre and a brown. And a number. Yeah, there we go. That's the word I was looking for. I didn't get the top. This one. Probably the most visible top. Just going around doing my gold trim at this point. Non-metallic gold here's all. Okay. I'm gonna do the helmet slightly different. We're gonna do the spear a little different. Okay. After this, we'll move up to a much, much brighter color. That's when it'll start to sell it, really. As of now, it could really just be leathery, right? Leathers actually make really decent tones for certain shades of gold, actually. Okay. There's 2 pins in his feet, right? And it's just clamped in the woodblock. There's 2 like brass pins in his feet. Okay. We need to move up saturation now. This is when it'll start to come off a lot more like gold, but we gotta be careful because it can go bad in a hurry on this stage. This is probably the one because we're skipping a lot of colors just due to how it works. And it's just easy for it to get off quickly here. I think I went a little too much on that. I'm gonna back that off a little bit with this. We're getting there. Okay. Alright, ciao man. I'll just be here painting. A little while longer, at least. Oh, hey, Sam. Thanks. He's getting there. He's not too far now. Like, it felt like this mini's just been going on for freaking ever. Like, but it's finally starting to get close. I'm just trying to not lose track of all the little things to do. This is a mini that I could literally take a month to paint, really. Like, there's just so much to do. Every once in a while, like, I'll see something, I'm like, crap, I need to touch that up, or, you know? Alright. It's time to do this. Are you painting anything, Sam? I don't know. I think except for the hooves and the spear, I think I'm done except for hooves and spear. Spear shaft. Or not hooves, tail and like mane and spear shaft. I think I'm done otherwise. This little eye. To paint his eye. A little bit of that. That's all. Okay. The mouselings. The mouselings are so much fun. Okay. What am I doing next? The shaft of the spear next. Okay. Oh lordy. Okay. Mhm. Yes. Yes, I am ready to get off stream here and hang out so much. Like you have no idea. You know, I was gonna do the spear all complicated, but I'm actually really liking the look of this kind of simple shaft like that. I think it really draws attention to it. Like, I'm actually really liking that. Yeah, I like the spear too. But the only thing I'm gonna have to do is these two little nubbins here definitely have to be something different. Like these two things right here. Probably need to be straight up gold. Mhm. Mm, I think we're down to just the the I don't really like how that. Just a second. There we go. Didn't like the way that quite highlighted, right? I think I'm just down to the horsehair, right? I think so. Feel like I'm missing something important, but I don't know. I think we need to do something. All right, we'll go with that. Yeah, me too. Like, black hair sucks. It's legitimately one of the worst possible things to paint. Um, trying to decide. I with this I went. Did I get? How in the world did I get brown right there? With this I went with the Reaper. Um, Dark Elf Skin Triad, which is kind of a desaturated purple, and it works okay. Um, I will probably do that again, I guess. Um, how in the world did I get? There we go. All right. Painting skin sucks in general, or painting hair sucks in general. The key with anything black is you have to leave an appropriate amount of it black. So let's just, I'm just going to take some of this and start working kind of the high areas here. This is with kind of a desaturated purple. We've already done kind of brown shading his earlier black hooves and stuff with brown, and so I need to differentiate that somewhat. So yeah, as I say before, the key with painting hair is to not try to paint the individual hairs too early on. Like, notice I'm not like painting individual hairs right now. I'm just overall getting the shape of the hair. If you try to paint individual hairs too early on, it just looks weird. So we're gonna end up covering more of the black than I'd like here, but then I think I'm gonna wash it back down to black, and I think it'll come out okay. We're gonna add a little bit of this bright yellow into our black, into our gray, purpley grayish thing. See what that does. A little kind of a muddy gray at this point. That's okay. Just gonna use this to. Gonna go a little higher than it has to be, and then we're gonna bring it back down, I think. Often the name of the game here. Ooh, that's way too bright. But I've committed now. That's like way too bright, but I already did it, so it's there. So we're gonna have to run with it, and then we'll bring it way back down. Yeah, crap. That was not a good move. What happens when you've been painting for 4 hours on stream, right? I get the feeling this hair is just going to turn into a hot mess the longer I mess with it. You know what I should be doing? Let's try this. I'm not liking the way this brush is working. Let's take the makeup brush. Not dry brushing, more like stippling, and I'm just trying to get the overall tones here. That's much better. Yeah, I'm not even sure like what my name is at this point. Just trying to get the tones here that I want. And we're going to hit it with a black wash. Let's see what it does. This doesn't have to be black. It can be a little on the gray side. But when I go to wash this, it's going to come way down. Get away with a little bit more in terms of dry brushing here, because the hair is so thick. It's not this. Not like really fine sculpted hair. On really fine sculpted hair, like, don't dry brush it. It looks really bad if you dry brush it. Alright, this is going better though. Slowly getting happy with this. Alright, I think we're going to take it to a wash now. That's going to hit all my dark parts nicely. And we'll see what happens then. Okay. I'm going to call my stream over for the night though. I think Sam is probably about the only one still watching anyways. And yeah, it's been fun hanging out, everybody. Have a good one. Don't do anything I would do. And yeah, thanks for watching. We're pretty much done with this guy. We're just about to throw this fun little wash on, and then that's about it on him. Dark lining after that. Alright, thanks, Sam.